our work, and something we can look back on and be really proud of. I think throughout the course of the season we had some great performances. I think the Orlando game obviously was tremendous. I thought the Chicago game we performed really well, even though we went extra time. To beat Indy 11, again, fantastic result for us. Some big results against the MLS teams. We beat Toronto at home. So I think overall in our first season we definitely exceeded any expectations that were out there. And then equally, the playoff game against Charleston to go to extra time, fantastic atmosphere from the supporters at Slugger, fantastic experience for all of us. So I think overall, when you look at the season, we can be really proud and look back with a lot of fondness and happiness. I think the Rochester game is something that I look at, and it obviously was something that none of us I think wanted. I think if you look at our performance, we didn't hit the levels that we had through the course of the season. I think we didn't create a great deal. A lot of pressure second half, but didn't really force their keeper to make any saves. And it was a game I think that I think the occasion clearly got to us.
How difficult is it to put a team together here like an expansion team and have that kind of success that you guys had?
Very, if I'm being honest. I think a lot of hard work, a lot of very long hours. There was a couple of times where I walked in, the dog started to bark and nearly bit me because I hadn't been home that long. So I think it's a lot of hard work, but it's been very fulfilling and certainly been very worthwhile, because the group of young men that we put together that represented us, I think, was something that I think we can look back on and be really proud of the way they represented Louisville City. Not just on the pitch, I think off the pitch. I think in the community, the role that they played. I have two young children myself, and both of them love the players. They look really fondly at the players, and I think the one thing that I look at with our guys is they've become role models in the community, which is something we wanted. They've been out in the community playing a role, and being a part of it, which I think is something that we said we were going to do, and we managed to do it. And it's a testament to all the players, the role they played on and off the pitch.
How does the contract situation work for most of these guys? I mean, do you expect the core of your team to be back next year?
Yeah, no, I mean the core will be back. There will be some that won't, but the core will definitely be back. I would think there'll probably be about 80% will be back, maybe 85%. There'll be a few that won't obviously join us, but again, the role that everyone has played, I think everyone can be really proud of the performance through the course of the season.
I know some of the guys have already taken off. What did you tell them after the game and then before they took off?
I think for us, again, like that, you can be really proud of the season. Again, and the disappointment of Rochester, it happens. I think great teams use that as motivation for next season, and that's something that we will definitely be doing. Is the pain of that Rochester game is something that lives in me now, and I can assure you, next season that's something that will be certainly pushing us forward and driving us on.
I guess everybody is kind of wondering, will Matt be one of those guys who's back? What is kind of the timetable for him?
Yeah, I think again, I mean, it's a testament to Mass. I mean, he scored 22 goals in 28 games, a new league record. I mean, as an expansion team, to have a player that sets a new goal scoring record was incredible, and equally for Brian to have 10 assists to lead the lead in assists, phenomenal. And I think for Matt, in Matt's instance, he will have generated an awful lot of interest. Matt's under contract for next year, so if somebody does want to take Matt, they will have to compensate us. But I would expect it to be a lot of interest, because strikers that score 22 goals in 28 games are obviously in demand.
Brian under contract too?
Brian's not. He's someone who he signed a 1-year deal. He wanted to go to the MLS, and obviously having played with Brian, it was an instance where we wanted to come and help provide a platform for that to happen. So wherever Brian signed, it was only ever going to be a 1-year deal, and we wish him the very best of luck. I know he has some interest from MLS teams, and again for him, we wish him all the very best, and we can take a lot of pride in the fact that we've been able to help hopefully facilitate his move. I know he's desperate for the opportunity, and hopefully someone will give him that opportunity. That's something he's currently seeking now as he's out of contract.
timetable be in terms of preparing for next year as far as getting contracts, getting staff, so you just, as far as staff too, are your assistants coming back too, you know?
Yeah, no, without question. I mean, I think the role that Daniel Bird and Tabani Sutu played through the course of the year cannot be understated. I think both played a huge role in our success. So I think without question, I think the work that they have both put in, again, very long hours. They're definitely two people that we want around. And as regards the players, we've spoken to the players today to let them know which ones we want to keep and which ones obviously we feel would be best for their own careers to move on, and we'll make a statement in the next probably 24, 48 hours as to what's happened with that, and then the recruitment starts pretty much straight away. You get straight into it and you start looking to plan for next season.
How do those conversations go? Because it can't be easy, especially if you're telling somebody, basically, we don't want you anymore.
Very difficult. Very hard when you have lads who've given so much, but equally you need to try and be fair to people and be fair to their own individual goals. I think for players, they all want to play, so I think you need to try and be very honest and be fair with people. It's a situation where I always like people to tell the truth. I've been very honest, since my very first day in the job. And I will continue to be. I call a spade a spade. It's either black or it's white for me. I believe in telling the truth and being very upfront, so everyone knows how they can deal with situations, and there's no muddy water. But it's always very difficult, obviously, to sit down with somebody and say that we don't necessarily see you playing a big role here next season. But it's for many reasons that you come to that decision, and you hope they respect the decision and they understand the reasoning behind that decision. I think for us, the squad size was probably something that will increase. We ended up with 20 players. We initially were going to go with 18, but then Orlando had all those injuries, so it was very difficult for Orlando to be able to assist us. So we ended up, managing to scratch around and get a couple of more in. So I think for us next year we'll probably have a slightly bigger squad, and then positions again. It's dependent on which players leave and which players we think we can actually get in that can fulfil and help us and strengthen us, because we want to build on the successful season we've had.
I think you've essentially said this before, but if you plan on being back this year,
I certainly hope so. I know there was some dialogue yesterday around that. I think that will continue to be the case, and hopefully we can get that agreed and get it all boxed off.
Will you have a role in the stadium saga, if you will, getting it decided and built and all that?
I don't know what role I have. I suppose my role is to make sure that we maintain success on the pitch. I hope that, I would say the progress that's been made from the first game to the last game, I think there was an awful lot of excitement, an awful lot of publicity around the need for a soccer stadium. I think the mayor, the city, I think are fully aware of the need for a soccer stadium. So hopefully those talks keep progressing and remain in the positive light that they have been in.
is there anything as a coach, resource-wise, that you look here and say, we're really missing this? Or do you feel like for a first year that things went pretty smoothly?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some aspects that we need to work on. I think that's always the case, and that was part of the discussion yesterday. And I think that's something that's an ongoing thing that we want to try and rectify and make sure that things are right. But all in all, when you sit down as a first year franchise to finish with second in 12, 20, do we 24 teams, I think we can be really proud, big achievement, and it's now building off that and trying to maintain that success for next season.
What are you going to do to chill out, cool off, get some time off? What are you going to do?
Well, at the moment, I think we still have targets we need to sit down and go through, but I certainly need to go and have a holiday with my wife and kids and reintroduce myself to the family.
The dog, right?
So, yeah, well, I'm not too worried about the dog, but I'm sure my wife is. But yeah, so I need to go and spend some time with the family as well. But for the next couple of weeks, we need to sit down and go through some targets and make sure that we're fully aware of what we need to do as well, because I'm a workaholic, if I'm being honest, and we've already started for next season, so it's important.